Wow.
You did it. Look at you. All right, here's the scenario this time. You're gonna go for alpha head zones. All right. Okay. They're all infected humans that got an alien in their brain.
Okay.
Gotta take them all. You ready for your beep? Shooter ready?
I'm ready.
All right, ready? Beep.
Oh my god!
Okay. Well, it's not an alpha head zone, but it's dead. That guy, this alien infected person isn't going to be singing too well anymore. Yeah. Not going to be singing that one right in the throat. And then, oh wow, you're just going for those throat shots. Got to work on that height overboard or something. Maybe it's zeroed low. All right, I'm gonna shoot the same scenario as Tiffany. We got goober brain infected individuals on the homeland, and oh man, whoever, that's gotta take out the mind infected parasites. We're gonna go alpha head, alpha head, alpha head.
Okay.
And probably and maybe trip over a chair in the process. Oh! All right.
None of them have necks right now.
What?
What's that?
All of them have been shot in the neck.
Nice. All right, give me a beep, girl.
Beep. Hey, so I'm not a bad shot. It's a bad sight.
And I overloaded one. That's why you practice range safety there.
Oh.
All right, shooter, do you understand the course of fire?
222.
222. All right, you ready? I'll give you a beep. You ready?
Yeah.
Beep.
Shoots great, it's accurate.
How'd you do?
I think I did okay.
Let's check. Plays on that one. They're both touching the line of both alphas. And then I wasn't paying attention to my count, so I had one there but one alpha. But heavy gun. The heavy is kind of okay, I guess, for this sort of scenario. You know, it gives you a little more control, but that recoil, I mean, I feel like we didn't bring the other ones out. But I mean, you will feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
That the recoil
is more. It was bad.
It's more than the FX9. It's not fair to compare it to like the Strybog, because the A3, because that one's rollerblade. So we're at 4 here, 5, 6. All right, let's do a couple more. I feel like I want the stock to be longer.
I don't think it was bad, but
just,
your arms might be longer.
I feel like I want it just a little bit more out on this model, and I'm not usually like that. Okay. All right, gang, we are back now with the Daniel Defense
pistol caliber carbine, or Ddpcc. Had all sorts of running around to do today. Had dinner at the wife's family and stuff, and you know, we're finishing this up later tonight now, and yada yada yada, a bunch of stuff you guys don't care about. But this was actually loaned to me by a friend of the shop, so thanks, Sean, if you're out there watching this. We appreciate you. He is actually a officer and got this cool Michigan Tactical Officers Association model. I don't know how that works, but it looks like, you know, something they put on there for him. And I have never been a Daniel Defense guy. I had mentioned this to him, and I was like, yeah, I know this thing's coming out. We've been doing all the pistol caliber carbines this summer. And he was like, hey, you want to check it out and, you know, try it? And he hadn't even shot it yet, so it was really nice of him. We appreciate you. And it was fun. I will say, you know, like I said, I've never been a Daniel guy. And I think that comes down to mostly that Daniel Defense is an expensive brand. And being that I work in a gun store, and, you know, I get a lot of like used parts coming in, and sometimes like, you know, trades and stuff on, you know, pretty high end stuff. Like, you know, it could be all over the place, but you can acquire, collect quite a few nice little things and put an AR together, in my situation and in a lot of people's situation. Pretty high-end stuff you can put together for not too terrible bad money. And something like this is about 19 some odd $100, $2,000, give or take. That's a lot of money for just a blowback gun. And I say just a blowback gun, I don't mean any disrespect to the firearm itself, because it is a really nice gun, a really nicely made blowback firearm. It's just that it's not doing anything incredibly remarkable compared to any other firearm on the market. And allow me to just dive into that for a moment, and then we'll move forward onto the rest of the gun. So your standard AR-15 direct impingement system does have a little bit of like a delay. It's not typically referred to in that way, but there is the rotating bolt face mechanism that, as the bolt does come back, still has to turn and unlock, which gives you the unique qualities of the recoil of the AR-15, right? And a direct blowback system does not have that. So this, for instance, still, in my opinion, this being a 7.62 by 39 pistol, and that sort of recoiled in a similar fashion. So moving on to the next one. This is an FX9, a blowback operated firearm that retails around $700 to $800 per, depending on the model you get, right? Now, these are not your standard sort of mil spec upper and lower AR9 parts. They are proprietary to their build, and I do believe they have like 2 generations now that may not be cross compatible even with themselves. But just saying that, you know, the generalization of this type of firearm, right, is kind of this marketplace. Now, like I said, they're not apples to apples, okay? This is a Freedom Ordnance. The handguard and stuff isn't as nice as Daniel's lockup system. This gun, like I will get into here in the video, is quite well built and even somewhat seemingly overbuilt. And this one is a little more lightweight. And honestly, because of that lightweight and probably less bolt mass, it actually seems like it recoils less. So just a little food for thought there. And then we have these guys, and I know I'm getting a little bit all over the place here, so try and keep me on track or stay on track with me. The ADD is going to take us on an adventure here. But again, a blowback operated firearm, similar to this, standard blowback operation, the SP9A1, right? And this is one of the older generations that still had the curved trigger. Had this one forever. Nice shooting firearm, but definitely has a pop to this one, right? Because there is a heavier bolt mass inside of it. I would consider these on like a similar level of recoil. But this is like a $700 and some odd gun, brand new, right? 700 and some odd bucks. And then for a little bit more money, for about $1,000-ish, you can get into the roller delays, the A3s, right? And this is the A3K. These are extremely soft shooting guns for about that $1,000 price point. And without grabbing more and more guns off the wall here, you know, let's just say there's quite a few in the marketplace that are doing more, mechanically speaking, for less. Now, quality-wise, material-wise, customer service-wise, do all of those products stand up to like a Daniel? I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I do. Like every other review we do, we have a sample size of 1 here, right? This is 1 gun that we've got. We're not testing 100 of them, right? We're not going to go out and tell you that this is the best, most distinct firearm that has ever popped up in the 9mm AR space, that it's the greatest thing ever and that you should absolutely buy one. I'm just going to bring as much relevant information to you guys as I can for you to make better, more educated purchases on the daily like I usually try to do. And all that being said, let's dive into this fella tip to butt. So front end, we have got a bird cage. It is an all the way around-ish bird cage. It's not quite, it does have a little flat space on the bottom. I don't know what this one would be called because this isn't like an A2 style or anything official. It's kind of its own thing. It's nice looking, probably something you're going to replace though. It's a little on the long side for a 9mm. It did seem to do fine with the flash. We didn't notice any flash, but then again, it was daytime. At night, can't confirm. But nothing really special there, other than it seems like a quality machine piece. It doesn't look like junk. You know, it's a generic muzzle brake that you're going to get on most of your types of firearms, right? You've got your barrel, Daniel Defense, typical fare there, 9mm. You got your nice handguard from Daniel. I've always liked these handguards, and I like the lockup style. The 4 lugs being, you know, laterally pulling into the firearm itself. And it makes for a really nice, solid system with no deflection. I talk about that a lot on firearms. Cheaper firearms and cheaper handguard setups will tend to have quite a bit of deflection. Something like this here, I can push on this system. And, you know, it's not bad because it's a shorter gun, but there is a little bit of movement. And that usually gets exponentially worse the longer the gun, 15-inch handguard, etc., right? On a cheap lockup system where it's just a couple of bolts clamping down on a barrel nut, that's kind of what you end up with. And Daniel has a really nice one here that, you know, has been around for a while now and seems to have done everybody good. So, you know, more power to him with that one. You got that. It does have a very attractive upper and lower receiver. They look good together. The cuts are nice. It's got like a nice futuristic vibe to it. They did something sexy. You know, they did sexy it up a bit. It's good looking. You know, it certainly has a nice fit and finish. You know, no rough machine marks. Everything's smoothed out. A nice finish to it. It takes the CZ Scorpion mags, which I suppose, you know, a lot of people are going to say they wish it was Glock. I don't think it matters. I like the look of CZ Scorpion mags. You know, being an AK nerd myself, I do enjoy a magazine that either comes out straight, like the Colt Stick Mag, or comes out on a forward angle or curve, like the UMP, or like the CZ Scorpion. Kind of reminds me of like a Vitya sort of mag, like a slightly curved magazine. I will say, if they had done the CZ Scorpion mag like this, I don't know why they didn't do a little thumb release down here, sort of like the CZ Scorpion. The ambidextrous controls, I heard ad nauseum with their like commercial launch, because it seemed like this gun was launched to like every high dollar YouTube channel all at once, and they all said verbatim pretty much like the Daniel Defense selling points, and one of their selling points was the ergonomic features, you know. And yeah, I mean, it does have the ergonomic features, you know, I suppose, right? So here I go, just repeating that crap over again. But, you know, everything within reach, you know, both sides, you got, you know. But I will say, you know, I guess it does fall free, but at the range, I felt like I had to strip it out a couple times. And that could have just been me not pressing it good enough, but now it seems to be doing it just fine. The bolt release is there on both sides, and it is accessible, you know, index finger style if you wanted to do that too. So I suppose that's a cool feature. Nothing really special in the trigger department, right? Pretty heavy and gritty. I don't know if this is a standard Daniel Defense trigger, but that feels heavy. That feels like 10 plus pounds. That's a heavy trigger, and nothing special there. And honestly, on a $2,000 gun, I feel like you should at least be getting some sort of cheap trigger upgrade, right? There's a lot of stuff out there on the market that Daniel could be putting in these guns that is a lot better than that. Let's be honest, it doesn't cost a lot of money to make a trigger. And I'm sure these triggers wholesale, like especially nice ones, right? Like even something like an ALG, wholesale to Daniel at, you know, a couple thousand pieces, I'm sure would not break the bank nor break their profit margin on these. The grip, not a bad grip. It's the Daniel grip. The market is moving more forward on the grips, right? And this grip is sort of there-ish. It's like an in-between. It's kind of the traditional angle, kind of not, how they sloped it a little bit. But it doesn't feel bad. Doesn't feel great. I mean, is it the worst one? No. Is it the best one? No. But it works on the gun, and it looks good on the gun. It definitely matches the Daniel aesthetics. And where this gun shines, in my opinion, like if you noticed in the video when I was shooting it, you know, the way this gentleman has this set up currently as a pistol, there was no real good place to get your hand on here because of the mount for the flashlight and then the pad. So you were kind of just like holding onto a wad of stuff, and then these rear caps on these Olights spin. So, because these are the magnetic locking ones, right? So even when it's in a lock position, it spins. So it was just weird to try and grab up on it on this position. So I found myself kind of hovering more back here, and having that support hand so close to me, I wanted the stock to be longer. So definitely something I feel like would shine is an SBR, right? Where you had that to pull back into yourself more and mitigate a little bit of that recoil. And that's another thing. As we were shooting this, you know, like I said, it goes back, you know, we jumped around here, but, you know, shooting it, SBA brace, done. That's the butt. But shooting it, it had a kind of not violent, but very noticeable recoil impulse. It was heavier in the recoil than you would expect for a gun this price point. Now, anybody familiar with blowback knows that blowback guns have recoil because the operating system there is merely weight, resistance, springs, etc., interference mechanisms, right? So what's happening in these firearms, in a blowback firearm, is the bullet is firing, and literally as that's happening, all the action is taking place. The bullet is traveling down the system. There is no gas, like in an impingement system where your gas would come back and then hit the key and then start the carrier. So like the bullet would at least have traveled to this point in the firearm, you know, about here at that point. No, in a blowback gun, it's happening simultaneously. So as that bullet is leaving the barrel, this bolt is opening up already and ejecting your casing, right? And the energy from the propellant and from the bullet is what pushes the bolt open, and that is all balanced and mitigated by your buffer spring, buffer weight, and bolt carrier weight. So in the case of this firearm, it functioned flawlessly, but so have many others in my experience that maybe have less weight, and we'll have to pop it open here and see. Okay, so at first glance here, that is a massive tank of a bolt carrier, and it's heavy. I do not have my postal scale here at home to weigh this guy, but I can see what I'm pretty sure is a tungsten weight inside of this thing. They added more weight to it. That is just wild. That is heavy, heavy, heavy. And again, color me completely perplexed. I never would have guessed that there was a hydraulic buffer in this gun. So this is a KYN shot, kin shot, a part number RB5015HD. So I can't see anything on here about the weight of this buffer. I would have to look that up, and maybe I will and put it on the screen for you guys later with editing. I will say this is a pretty heavy weight buffer as well. Stole her scale. Got a paper towel to put on it so that I don't get it dirty with all sorts of gun goo, because she will kick my butt. All right, let's tear that guy. 0 pounds. Let's see where we're at. Pounds and ounces. 1.12 pounds. Wow. Okay, and that's just that one. 1.73 pounds. Almost 2 pounds. That's pretty wild. Unloaded, no magazine. with the EOTech on there, she's coming in at about 7.4 pounds. So about 7.5 pounds with the EOTech and the light on there. So she's a heavy girl, you know. I think, let's see, the this guy with optics and everything, 6'8", so a little less still. So this thing was, you know, a good, at least good half pound heavier than that. And then the Strybog, 5 pounds, 5.1. You know, so I mean, it's a heavy gun. It's a heavy little beefcake. But if this is what you like, and that's what you have the kind of money for, go buy one. Seems like a nice gun. That's really all I can say after 300 rounds. You know, like I said, I can't give you more information than that, but yeah. Yeah. If you're rich, go be rich. All right, guys. Toodaloo.